So I'm from Rochester Rowing Club. My name is Michal Palamarczuk. I'll give you lessons on how to pronounce it later, but we'll just get on with the presentation. I have been in rowing right from when I just started rowing when I was about 18. So I didn't go to school rowing. I started it as an extra sport, a separate sport that I wanted to get involved with. I found it quite exhilarating. It wasn't full contact like rugby or anything like that, but you learn other sports as you go along. So, but actually, it is full contact because it's probably one of the most athletic sports that we have, and you all know that because you're involved with it. But I'm a company director. I've been involved in business for most of my working life from an early age, developing my own company and then working nationally and internationally. So I've got quite a big spread. I meet people and I'm able to communicate with people. Big word, communicate. All of us have got to do it all the time. And then I started rowing again for about 15 years ago. I started rowing again as a social rower and decided I wanted to be a bit more active, and so I'm lucky enough to be a World Masters gold medal winner. I can scull, I can sweep, and I can do all the necessary things, enabling me to coach juniors and young people from the right level. That is, they trust what I say because they know I can do it. And I think that's another big plus that you must do. Learn your sport so that you can then allow people to trust what you do. So what I'd like to do now, first of all, is that when I started my journey with Royals, this is going back quite a few times, I had to sort of look at what we wanted to achieve, and the vision and the journey is quite important. So when I was inheriting something, which has been around since 1838, so it's the oldest rowing club in the UK, I had to try and prepare a vision of what I felt the club should be like, but also listen to other people so that I could get some ideas of what they thought the club should be doing as well. And then we looked at the activities, whether it be athletic and the business model, and how we're going to make it a collective issue for the whole club to be a part of that journey. And then the development's ongoing. And one of the presidents of the club, Keith Osborne, who unfortunately is in a pretty bad way at the moment, one of his particular sayings was, "We're not a rowing club, but a group of rowing societies." Sharing facilities, which means you've got individuals all doing their own things inside this little clubhouse, which is very true. It's what it was like, and even now it's a bit of a difficult job to get it to change, but it is working. And when I got involved with the club back in 2006, this is the size of the club we had. As you can see, it's boats were going inside the clubhouse. We had no racking outside, and people got access to it. And it was about 125 members, and that's where we were. And we still are like that at the moment, but there's another plan in place. In the clubhouse, we have our boat storage, and the social room doubled as a training centre, and it was just about a bit of work, and all the members just got together and made it happen. So when I took over in 2008, what did we have? What I inherit? Now you do have to examine what you're going to take over. So I've got 173 years of history when I took over, ageing premises and equipment, because even the boating equipment was getting aged, and the premises themselves are pretty old. Got a lot of projects hanging around. Youth sector was basically undercoached, and there was demand for it. Facilities geared all towards men, and there were some women rowers, but they were very much in the small part of the corner. Juniors and masters men really were the main income for the club. And again, income is very important to consider. You mustn't forget that. Your income is going to sustain your club. So if you haven't got it, and you haven't got the members who've got money, you're not going to be able to have your club running forward. Senior men and women doing their own thing, so therefore not part of the collective, but doing their own society thing. Communications just wasn't really going on through the club. Coaching roles, small, perhaps one person doing it all and trying to get help from other people. And really the club had reached a bit of a stagnation level. And I do mean that. It had gone down the dip and was on the bottom end. Because all clubs go in a cycle. And the Royals is no exception. It's been through the cycles right from its early days, and you can follow its history and you can see where the dips and the highs are or were. So by creating a vision before committing, I observed this and shadowed the management. So I took on the chairman's role and observed observed the management in its present in its structure as it was then, and then I needed to know how to create a trust of the members, because if I was going to get involved with the club, I needed the members to trust me in my direction that I wanted to go in. I had to find something to excite the members. That's always difficult. You can't have parties every night, so you've got to find something that's going to stimulate them in the rowing. Who to ask for advice, and there were lots of people around to ask, and that's what you should always do. Always ask your older members for advice, and some of them have got a huge amount of experience. They may not want to be the coaching qualified person, but they've got a lot of experience. I think what you were talking about earlier about getting people to take up the mark and putting their names down to a coaching course and becoming part of the rowing fraternity with the right qualifications. Some of them don't want to do that, and they won't. But you've got to listen to what they say, because you can learn a lot from them. And it's you younger guys at the front here, you're the futures of rowing, so learn from them, but get your qualifications and get signed up. What projects needed activating, and boat replacement was a big one, and I've got to find out where the money's going to come from. So where do I start? Do I start with the trust of the club members or with a vision? Well, you need both, and you need to have that vision to explain to the members that you've got to get the trust. So taking on the role, I created a project, set a timeline, what I wanted to do, activate it, complete the projects. See, it's all very well talking about projects, but you've got to complete them. You've got to get the money, or if it's not money, you've got to do what you say you're going to do. It's no good going to people and saying, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and you start it, and then it's not finished. And 1 year later, it's not finished. Set yourself a time, do it in the time. And then, because what's going to happen is, I'm testing my members, although I was going to start captaining, but then they're testing you as well. So you've got to work together, but you've got to prove yourself. So creating the trust pathway begins now. So I had to create a project. So the first thing I need to do was find out who's what and who's doing what and who's prepared to support. So something very simple. We've got some lovely gates. Well, not lovely. They're old cast iron gates on the front of the building, falling apart and very rusty. So I know, let's paint the gates and start painting them and get people to volunteer. Well, nobody volunteers, so you start painting. And then suddenly some people arrive. What are you doing? Well, I'm painting the gates. Do you want some help? I've been asking for it, but... So it goes on from there. And suddenly you get a nucleus of people who are putting their names forward, putting their hands in the paintbrush and starting to paint. And those are the people you target to help you to move the club forward. The second project we had was a new pontoon. Now, this is a financial project, so big expense, money, engineering, volunteers to put it in place. So that was creating that project. So we did that exactly right. We created that, got the pontoons, money, volunteers, project done within 4 months. That's a £15,000 project to put new pontoons in place. But we did it. We did it because we said we could do it, and we completed the project. The third project, the team building, asking the members to assist, who would volunteer, find out who they are, who says yes but can't deliver. And again, it's always about delivering. When you get on a boat to race, you want to win a gold medal. You want to find out who's with you, who's backing you up. So the ergo scores and everything else that goes with it knows that you've got the right committed people in the boat. Same with the clubhouse. You've got to have the right committed people. You do need a team. We're a team sport. Get it working together as a team. So my vision for going forward is now moving on. 2 years at the club, 2008, 2009. In the background, we've always had the idea of moving premises, of going into a new clubhouse. You saw the picture of the old clubhouse, being there since 1838, and it has been there since 1838. Wooden beams, just about holding up. So we knew we needed a new clubhouse. So phase A, a new clubhouse, my eyes with a team of people around me, different approach, continue developing the trust within the club and the members. So we located land. We went to the members, we want to move premises. We've got the land, we'll get a long lease on it, do you want to move? Everybody's got to be committed, 100% support. We got the support because One, I've been doing things over the last couple of years that I've been saying I can do, we can get this going, and I've been getting the right team around me. So now we're on the right pathway. Phase B was to increase the membership, because it's all very well having a club that's working within its confines, but if we're going to go to new premises, we need to increase membership. We need to do it for a lot of other reasons as well, because if we're going to go for grants and other applications, we need to show we have a growth pathway. And by doing that, you've got to find ways of increasing your membership. Part of British Rowing's requirement is about filling seats and getting the membership up. And if you want to get grants and if you want to get applications within the rowing fraternity or even sporting, you've got to show you've got a demand and you're keeping that demand filled. So by increasing our membership, we had to develop learn to row courses, which I'm sure a lot of you do already. So for adults or for young new blood. Summer schools, huge. You've got 6 weeks in the summer from July to August where you can activate the summer rowing experiences. When I started, it was a summer rowing school, the summer school for the kids. Maybe 30 or 40 people attended over a 3-week period. Now we have a summer school, which is not a summer school, it's a rowing experience, and it caters for 100 juniors over a 5-week period. Instead of being 3 mornings a week, we do 5 mornings a week over 5 weeks. Why do we do that? Because it stimulates youth into a new sport. But we also do it for another reason. £10,000 at the end of 5 weeks. It's a big chunk of money. Goes towards a new boat, goes towards your clubhouse repairs and maintenance. A lot of work, don't let me kid you, that it's easy, it's not. It's a lot of work. And you need the commitment of your club members. But you can also go down another route. If you've built up your juniors, a lot of them want to help. If you develop their trust and their willingness to be part of the sport, they will help you teach your next generation. And that's what you've got to do, is getting that generation ticking over. You've then got to market your club. Now, when I do the summer school or learn to row or other activities, now, all my events are completely paid for before I start. All my out-of-pocket expenses are paid for by getting sponsorship. So if we do an event, a cheese and wine evening, somebody's paying for the evening, for the wine, before we even start. So therefore, whatever we're making, we're going in on a plus basis. We're earning a profit from day one. Maybe I'm a bit of a business-minded all the time, but I enjoy rowing, but it's all about the bottom line, guys. It's not about, well, we enjoy rowing and the boats are always going to be there. They're not. Unless you're maintaining your clubhouse, you won't get it moving. So you've got to know your product, so you know rowing. You know how to make people want to become a part and enthusiastic of the club. So you've got to keep things going by being engaged with them at all times. If you've got the right membership team, they will stimulate everything as well, and they'll keep it moving. Now, you all heard of Steve Fairburn, haven't you? No. It's Steve Fairburn, one of the originators of rowing coaching. He's one of the, in fact, if you can ever find any old books of his anywhere, I managed to find one actually, I've got one. And there was one sentence in there, an exposure of errors of orthodoxy, change with the times. He took it, he came into rowing and he changed the way people row and he made people win. And that's going back to the 1800s. Okay, so this is a guy that came in, but he used to drink a pint of beer a day just to make sure that, so he hasn't lost any of his. So changing with the times. You must change with the times. You can't stay fixed. Always change. And things happen, of course. We've got a big club now, a club that's moving, and crisis or distractions happen. And in 2009, we've got about 50 or 60 juniors now rowing, but basically 2 people coaching them. And the junior coach who was handling them decides to resign. And this happens. I don't know quite why he resigned, but I didn't push him. Just remember that. So that's with a weekend's notice. On Friday, this is over the Easter bank holiday. Friday, he said he's going to resign, he's going away, and that left us with nothing on the Monday morning. So panic. Do you panic when you get into a crisis situation? Who does panic? Get the flutters, and I do. But you won't see it on me. You've got to be able to control that. I panic, but you've got to be strong. So, what is it? It's an opportunity to change and add value to to what you've got. And so it continues. Things do happen. Can you change it to make it better? Probably you can, or you just leave it as it is. But if you've got the opportunity to change and add more value, then so you do. The barriers just need clearing. So I hope you don't mind my horse and jockey there. It's just a little bit of my funny sense
from Chester Racecourse.
Yes, well done. Thank you. You've got my humour as well. Thank you. So in 2009, the vision has grown again. Of course, by the longer you're in the role, which I've been in the role, I was in the role for 4 years as club captain. I only resigned last year, only because I knew I'd got some commitments and medical issues I had to sort out. So the vision had grown with added objectives. We created external involvements with sponsorship, people who wanted to be part of the club and be part of our ongoing growth. Supporting local charities. Get involved with the local charities. Once you get involved with them, other things start to come back to you. It's about what goes around comes around. Great believer in that. You must keep doing that. Find funding routes which are perhaps abnormal. We've got one of our funding routes and sponsors is 9 Bar. Have you heard of 9 Bar? The nutritional bars? They sponsor us to the tune of about £5,000 a year. And we get unlimited supplies of 9 Bars to give out to everybody. Education partnerships. That's where your juniors are going to come from. And we've been working closely with several schools in the area. We always get involved with the schools, with the summer schools obviously, but now we're actually activating curriculum rowing. So now we're using our premises during the day. So we're not an early morning, then go to work, and then the starting at 4:30 through till 8 o'clock. We now have rowing which starts at 7 o'clock in the morning, goes through till 6 o'clock at night for general junior rowing. That's the using of the premises economically. We're aiming for a 24/7 club. We want it working 12 hours a day. 24/7 doesn't quite work, but 12/7 does, and that's what we're working towards. So we're getting towards that. We've already got 2 days where we've got daytime rowing. The weekends, obviously, you know about, because we all do that at weekends. So that's the educational route, but you have to go and knock on the doors. I was talking to somebody about going to get involved with education. Can you get the local authorities to do it for you? No. They won't have your enthusiasm. Go and knock on the doors yourselves. Speak to the PE teachers, the headmasters. Get them involved. Do learn to row courses for the teachers. That's the way to get them stimulated. Get the parents involved. Stimulate them. So the education route is a very important part of your club's growth, and you must keep working towards it. Social events, of course, we'll all do those. The club ball, wine and dines, whatever you can, cheese and wines, nutritional evenings. One evenings where you just do a nutritional evening and wine and things set up, have drinks, etc. Don't make it expensive, but getting people involved. Nutrition's for the kids and for adults as well. Get the kids to come along with their parents. Another route to getting parents involved in the club. Committed committee. Now, this was obviously quite difficult to get going, but the committee we have now is probably 20 strong. They're all involved. We all have different parts to play, and we meet once a month and make sure that everything's still following the same pathways, because we have got a big project going forward. Club members are actively involved at every level. Some members don't do as much as they do, others do, but the majority of members are part of the club. They want to be involved, and when you have a maintenance day, everybody turns up. They come in for their hour slot or their 2-hour slot. Some of them are there all day, but something goes on the maintenance days. And all the members are always being asked to consider this, that it's not just their rowing social club, it's their business. It's their business, and it is a business. As much as we like to think we're in a social rowing club, it's great to be part of the club, it's still a business. It still has to open the doors, it still has to pay the bills. And I can't reiterate that enough. It's so important to think, I know money is not be all and end all, but it only pays the bills, it gives you your new 8, and that's what you've got to be doing. So the club is now buzzing. Our club is buzzing. It's becoming more than a societal. It's become a rowing club led by changes such as rowing and achieving results, of which we are now. Our men and women are rowing at Henley at the major events and the heads of the river and coming in a very good positions. This year the women's 8 came 38th out of the country, and that's a really good achievement, and most of those are second year rowers as well. Coaching, increased our coaching. We have more coaches for seniors and for our juniors. In fact, we've now taken the stage, this is why things keep moving on and evolving, we now pay a coach out of our club funds. We have just put our funds up, by the way, we have put them up as well, but it pays for the coaching, and everybody has access to that paid coach, whether it be their masters or the masters men or women, or the senior men who do get the majority of the coaching, and then it's fed back to the junior coaches as well to give them advice on things. So we've now gone quite a dramatic route of paying for a coach, which is perhaps the way most of the London clubs and the big universities all have paid coaches. We've now taken that step forward. We're thinking more and more as a small business because we've got a big turnover. We're now becoming a more professional club because we're looking at things business-wise. We do have empathy with issues which come up, and they do come up all the time, but we're strong. But we also have to be strong about the right things, and there are welfare issues which come up. And if it means you're going to lose a coach, you lose him. You don't mess around, you don't sort of try and find a way around it. If there's been a problem and it's something you can't negotiate properly, then they must go, and you go quickly as well. And I've done it twice now. And it works because other people realise then that, especially with the juniors, they've got a protected environment and they know it's going to be safe for them. Creating a stronger foundation. So we're constantly looking at making our solid foundation stronger financially and with the commitment of the members and the management. So as a business, what did I want to do? I wanted to create replacements. So we need our assets are our boats, obviously, and blades and all the other equipment, and launches and everything else that we need, because we need launches to go on the river. We don't have a cycle track to go up, so we need launches. So we've got 5 launches now. We used to have 3. So there's an investment in a launch engine and a boat, the tin fishes, of which there's about £8,000 a throw. So we've got 2 of those new now, and replacement engines, which we have to think about. So we just replaced one of those as well. But in 2011, we spent £26,000 on a new 8. In 2012, we spent £86,000 on equipment. And that's a big jump. But the money has come in through membership, obviously membership fees, but through funding. We managed to get grant funding and sponsorship support. And that's big money to get. So we spent over £100,000 in 2 years through those particular avenues. We've now got 7 virtually new 8s, of which we've got Empackers and Filipes. So we've got really good quality 8s. We've got 4s, Coxless 4s and Cox 4s, which we purchased as well. Our next phase is going to be single sculls and doubles for the finer boats to develop skills more beneficially for the members and for the rowers who want to move on the pathway towards British rowing or their national rowing team. So as I said to you, the money has come from grants, activities, fundraising, sponsors, local charities. Have you explored that route? Local charities are a huge beneficiary. If you can show that you are benefiting the community, then there are charities in your local community which will come to you, or you can knock on their doors and they will open their purses for you. And they've got a lot of money, some of these charities, a lot of money. And there are simple items that you can do as well. For instance, every year, and we never had this, but when I started, the first thing I did was introduce the yearly calendar. 12 months a year, £100 a page. It's simple money. And if you can get somebody to pay for the print run and sell them for £3 a piece, you've got a very big earner for nothing. Really, it's for nothing, because somebody in your club is a member who will pay for a sponsorship, or you can go and knock on somebody's door, especially if you can say who you're doing it for and why. So there's lots and lots of little different things that you can put together. Now, of course, as a clubhouse, and in 2013, this is how we were in 2000, but where we are still now. But you can see the previous picture that you saw was an empty boat front, riverfront. Now we've got racking on either side of that of the clubhouse. We actually are crammed in tight, and I do mean tight. We have no room for any more boats. We just completely crammed. So it's so that it's perhaps detrimental, because now we're damaging boats more than we should do, because we have to be really careful how we get boats in and out. So there's a lot of shouting going on when we've got the kids down. You know, be careful. You know, but that, in all fairness, I mean, once you develop that particular discipline, then it's amazing. Our juniors really do want to keep their boats on the water, and they work hard to keep them there, washing them, cleaning them, keeping them from damage. So that's where we are at the moment, quite crammed. I couldn't resist this one. Our new clubhouse that we've got planned, it's all changed in the last 3 years, because we identified a site, and it's upstream about 1.5 kilometres from where we are at the moment. And then we got talking to a local school who wanted to develop their particular clubhouse, which was exactly opposite where we are. This picture was taken outside the clubhouse one day with this rainbow going down onto the land where we are now going to build our new clubhouse. Now that's what you call a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. One of those lucky things. So I had to throw that in. It was just one of those things. Just being in the right place at the right time can mean a lot, to take advantage of them. So, as a club, we've increased participation and support. We've got more senior men and women rowing. We've got more masters men and women rowing. We've got more women masters than we have men now. Junior squads have increased to up to 120 juniors rowing now. Schools interaction via the local authority and via private schools. So we've got both avenues which we've followed up on and we're now actively involved with. We've opened the door as a new sport to these schools' activities. So much so now that on a Wednesday we row from 7 o'clock until 4:30, and we have 3 schools attend during that day. One is a private school, starts at 7 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock. And then we start again at 1:30 with a local LA school, the Catholic High School, which is just across the river actually, their school, and another private school, and they come in the afternoon. And then from 4:30 our normal juniors turn up. It's a full day, and the same thing. And on a Friday we've got all the morning taken up with schools rowing as well. So we're working towards using the club premises every day during the day. We've got 1.5 days now, and that's within the last 2 years. It's a slow process, but you have to knock on the doors, and you do have to actually get engaged with the PE teachers and the headmaster. Once you can sell it to them, and they can see the benefits to some of the juniors, and this is where it gets quite interesting, because the feedback from the teachers is that some of the kids they got won't get engaged in sporting activities or at the bottom end of the pile. They get involved with rowing, and it changes because they find they can do something. It's not everybody, obviously, but the majority of them find they can actually get involved with it. They get involved with the technical aspects of rowing, and suddenly they've changed. They become sporty. They want to be the top of the ergo ladder, and suddenly they're doing things that they would never have done before. It's a great enthusiastic route to take if you can get involved with it, and if you can, then you'll get the support of the headmaster, because they'll see the difference in the school's educational route as well. Education and sport go together. If you can change the thinking, so much the better. And that's why the headmasters and the PE teachers are really enthusiastic to keep us going and working together as a cooperative adventure. The Learn to Row, again, that is now increased, and we do miss the boat sometimes because we're so full now with members. We do actually try and limit the Learn to Row. But I was talking to you about Learn to Row and how we could perhaps miss it sometimes, because you need the parent participation. So you should be activating Learn to Row for the parents, because then they're part of the chain. They make up the triangle of your support structure. You don't want them going to another club to learn to row, which I just found out about yesterday. So we're going to have to change that. Going to jump on it quickly. Right? Of course, because we're in such a busy club now, we have to timetable our training plans. So it's not about coming down at 8 o'clock now on a Saturday morning and know you're always going to get into a boat. Now you can come. You have to allocate your time. So masters perhaps come in the afternoons. The senior men and women and some of the juniors, the top end juniors, come in the mornings. But then and then as you go through in the day, then the juniors who are learning to row and the adult masters come later on in the afternoon. So the clubs at the weekends is working all afternoon and mornings, and then it's the evening time where we get other people coming down as well. So we have to timetable our structure quite seriously to make it work. And that includes the boat utilisation, because we do share boats as well. So timetabling for boat utilisation is important. And then of course you've got to think about training in the gym as well, because we've got the ergos working. We've only got 20 ergos, and so everybody every night has to have its turn. So when we start the winter season, 4:30 the juniors arrive, 6 o'clock the seniors arrive, 6:30 the masters arrive, and so it goes on. You know, at 7:30 the masters arrive, and so it goes on. So every evening it's time you get your hour's slot or your 1.5 hours slot. To add to our, so we've changed our club facilities from a social club now into a training gym. If we want to do social activities now, we have to go outside, so we have to find other locations. But that's not difficult, we can do that. Because now we put in a resistance training room, so we've got a weight section where we can start to train juniors to lift weights correctly, but always supervised. Always supervised, okay. But it's important that we start, if we want to develop athletes that are going to be strong and win, then you do have to add the element of weight training and strength and conditioning. And we're actively doing that now, but again under supervision. But it's a continuing process of making sure we can create athletes that are going to be part of the club and want to stay with the club. So we're now a business. We have a new development club project going forward, which I've mentioned earlier. This is going to be in excess of £2.5 million project. We're well on the way with it. I've got to say that this has been going on for 15 years. 15 years we've been working on this, and for the last 6 years I've been working on it, but now it's really moved on at a terrific pace, so much so that Sport England are involved, the Chester County Council are actively involved. They're starting to manage the whole project, so we've got the club members totally on our side to do this. So we've got a big project which is ongoing. We're about to go for planning permission with our plans, etc. So the project is a big go. We've already put £100,000 in the pot to do all the incidentals to get us in place. We are going to build a new clubhouse, and it's going to be a Northwest Rowing Centre of Excellence. But it's going to include other sporting activities. It will include canoeing, dragon boat racing, other items, even the triathlon are going to be involved, and scouting. They're going to be part of our new clubhouse. We've got about 2,500 square feet at the moment. That's going to go up to something like 20,000 square feet. It's going to be a big project. Whether £2.5 to £3 million is going to cover it, I like to think so, but we have to put the plan in place. I think we can cover it, but it's going to be tight and we have to work hard at it. But we're not frightened of hard work, are we, as rowers? We stick it to the last metre. Yes, and you've got to push everybody else along as well. So within the club, we've created a steering committee which is actively putting together the plans, and so much so that now our partners, so-called partners going forward, are wanting to sit in on our steering groups, and they're now actively becoming involved with it. So much so last week we went to the Thames. We went to all the youth rowing programs that they have. I don't know if anybody's been to the youth rowing programs they have on the Thames. I didn't quite realise how much they've done and what they do, but they are absolutely fantastic what they're achieving. Going into schools, working through the schools, into the youth rowing, land rowing and dry rowing, and then introducing people to the water slowly. So there's a general movement towards that. And they've got a big programme. Speak to anybody at British Rowing. I can introduce you to anybody if you want to go down and have a chat with them, because the way they're doing it is starting to work. It's getting kids in schools into dry rowing and then onto the water, and it is working. And they're actually, what they're doing, they're creating partnerships with rowing clubs. So it's again, the combination, the crossover is starting to work. But it all takes time. This is probably 5 years in the making to get to where they are at the moment. And that's where we are. It's never a quick fix, remember. It's not going to happen overnight. You've got to plan 5, 6 years ahead all the time. If you do that, it'll work because you can cross your T's as you go along. So the project group's in place, the marketing group's in place, the funding and business planning group's in place, and the partnership group's in place. We've got everybody working towards a common goal now, a new clubhouse. And that's what we've got to do. So the club activates activities to unite us. Obviously, we're going to be constantly working on keeping our club members involved. So we look for lots of different ways of creating activities that are rowing activities. So let's keep it going on the rowing. So we've done things like the 3-day rowing, the west to east on the Caledonian waterways. We did that 2 years ago. It was fantastic. The weather was bloody awful, but it was fantastic. I can remember the waves crashing over my back and thinking, what am I doing here? But once you got around the corner, when we got onto Loch Ness, etc., and places like that, it was just fantastic. I've got to say, what a lovely stretch of waters you've got here when the weather's calm. We've done the Thames Challenge as well, so that's rowing from right the way from its source virtually right the way down through to past Henley. The Thames Challenge, that's one thing which is worth doing if you can do 3 days of non-stop rowing. That's a really good challenge, and again you can raise lots of money. Both those events raised over £20,000 each. Some of the money we gave to charity. You must always keep that in mind. You're part of the community. Give something back as well, even though you're raising a lot of money. The Junior Rowing Summer School. Now we cater for, we've got 120 juniors that row with us, but we've got to keep that rolling over because the age groups keep changing. So every year we have our Junior Summer Rowing School. If we can get 100 plus, 120 plus attending, there's £10,000 straight away if you do it correctly. But it's a lot of work. We do it 5 mornings a week for 5 weeks. I think I said that earlier. But you can also then go to your local sporting activity council group. We've got Sport Cheshire. You must have a local sporting background somewhere here. They will give you support if you go and ask them, put the right package to them, sell it to them. We're going to get more people into active sports. They want that. They will support you. The first time we got the grant from them, we had £5,000 to add to our total. They've cut that about the last couple of years, but even so, £2,500 last year on top of what we earned. And don't forget what I said to you earlier about covering your costs before you start. That £10,000 we earned from our own fees that we charged for the process was all profit. For the rest of it, covering our expenses such as the logbooks that you give to the kids with all the rowing activities in and the explanations about rowing and advertising your club, that's all paid for by a sponsor. The t-shirts that they're going to wear, you're going to give them a t-shirt paid for by a sponsor. So 100 t-shirts, it's a big chunk out of your money, but get a sponsor to pay. They have their logo on it, they love it, So it's about getting that total involvement, the business side of your head that's got to switch on. And so we cover that particular activity. Now, the beauty of this particular activity as well is that your juniors, our future coaches, come from the guys that we've been teaching for the last 2 or 3 years. They're helping our new intake of rowers. So they're part of our assistants, our assisted coaches, helping our coaches with the learn to row process and the rowing experience. We don't call it a summer school anymore, we call it a rowing experience, because not everybody's going to be able to join the club. We haven't got the room. And the beauty of that is that, well, the sad thing about it is that we can't take everybody, but the beauty of it is as well that our local competitors, Grosvenor Rowing Club, have now started a junior rowing section. So there's more people being involved in rowing now, which is always a good thing. And the competition level gets up. But the great thing about it as well is that as opposed to the independent clubs always fighting one another, I don't want to row at Grosvenor, or Royals don't want to row with Grosvenor. As the senior members, we don't get that with the juniors. All the coaches on the D work together. We do events together. We share trailers to go to events together. We do our own marathon on the Dee together. 26 miles up the River Dee and back, there and back, 26 miles. We do it as a club, as a Chester rowing club, not a Royals or a Grosvenor. We do it together. So we're changing the ethos of thinking. Yes, we want to be competitive, but we're all rowers together. And that's, again, another great benefit from it. Maintenance days. These are a social interactivity within the club. You always got things that want to be repaired at your club. Your boats want cleaning. You need new runners on your boat. You need to change the wheels on your seats. You need to paint some doors. You need to do loads of different things all the time. So maintenance days, 2 or 3 of those a year, brings everybody together. Have a barbecue, a couple of beers only, otherwise the paint goes all over the place. And I can tell you that does happen. And don't give the paintbrush to too many young juniors, otherwise it goes all over the place. As I mentioned earlier, the marathon rowing on the Dee, again combined garden parties, wine evenings and cycling days. So there's lots and lots. You just got to think of different activities, and they don't always have to be about rowing. So in the beginning, that's what we were like in the beginning in 1840. So 2 years into our conception, that's how they used to row. Now we've got our rowing experience, indoor rowing. This is part of our sewing rowing experience. You can see the 9. That's our 9 bar sponsor. Paid for all our t-shirts last year and the year before, actually. That's the year before as well. So we put a big marketing campaign out for them. That goes on Twitter. So that just keeps things, and Facebook pages. Just use the modern mediums to get things out in the marketplace. But it also puts your club up there. You're associated with a high street product. Great. These are some of the activities we get the kids to do. Make learn to row fun. Get them standing in the boat. Have you all done that? You've all stood up in the boats without falling in. Okay, so these are things you can get them to do. Singles, doubles and quads. Get them all to stand up. Get them all to stand up in an octuple as well. That will be an exercise. And this is where they're all having fun with their t-shirts, etc., and sitting outside the club. Some of our masters of men and women I should say, winning. Everybody likes to win, don't they? It's really good fun. It's part of our juniors and some of our senior women some of them are interactions. So you can see them, some quite young ones there, but they're moving up through the ranks, going into the senior women's squad. This is when we did the Jubilee run on the Thames. Again, a mixture of juniors and masters. We're all rowing together with parents. A really good day. Now, of course, the Olympics was a great boost, wasn't it? And we took full advantage of that as well. We made sure that when the torch came through, we were on the bridge. We had boats rowing underneath the bridge, and in fact we timed it so when she started with the torch, our rowing boats came along. When the bows hit the bridge, they sounded the hooter, and she started off running away on the next course of the journey. But you see, we've got Chester University, we've got Grosvenor and Royals all together, which is it was a really good day and a good start to introducing more people into rowing. And that hasn't lost its momentum, I would say. It's still there, but it's all about how you stimulate it and welcome people into your club. One of our new boats, Charles Green. We were talking earlier about guys who've been around a long time. Charles Green is a very good coach, excellent coach. He has got the qualifications, and he goes whenever there is anything new, he will go out and get it. He doesn't do as much coaching as he likes to do nowadays, but he's very much part of the club and part of the training ethos that we have at the club, and he has the qualifications, and he will continue with them. And that's his boat. That's an 8 that we've just bought for him, one of our £86,000 purchases. Oh, wrong way, sorry. That's Royal Champagne, by the way. You'll notice about the. Can you see the? Oh, have I gone too? Is that moving? Gone too far. Okay, you can see that champagne was specially brewed for Royals. It's got the Royals logo on it. Yeah, I know. You'd believe that, wouldn't you? Okay. Okay, so development plans. The vision that I probably had 4 years ago is now very much not just a vision, but it's actually on the horizon. It's gained momentum with a local government cooperation. Plan A is now a city centre site. We had two options, Plan B, which was a site upstream. Now we have Plan A, which is a city centre site, easily accessible for schools and for cyclists and for people to get to. So we've got a strong, committed platform for the Royal Chester Rowing Club's future, and we're ready to push the buttons on it. That's where we were originally going to go to, and that's a sort of vision of what we would like to see the club to look like in the future. A nice club with 2 floors, training, all sorts of other things, and inviting other people to come up and visit, because that's another income stream as well, is about universities, other rowing clubs who perhaps don't have as beautiful a river as we have on the Dee, because we have 26 miles of river which is just navigable, a couple of bends, but absolutely gorgeous river to row on. Other clubs don't have that, lucky for maybe 500 metres, some clubs have, to row up and down on. So coming for a summer camp, great stuff. And other design options that we're looking at, trying to make them green. Plenty of opportunities for working with the modern requirements. So, was any of this easy? If I said it was easy, I'd be lying. It takes a lot of time. I'm quite fortunate that I have, at that time when I started, I did have a lot of time to spare to actually make this work and spend the time at the clubhouse. So much so that I'm still married, only just, but it does work. And if you have the cooperation and support of your members, then it does work. And anyway, the wives and the kids can come to all the functions that you're as well. So that just makes it. Will you have confrontation in the club? Yes, you will. Are you prepared to talk to people about it and not walk away? Then you will succeed. Always face your problems and issues. Always face them, talk them through, find a solution, and get on with the next phase. Is it 100% achievable to get everybody on your side and to achieve every objective? No. Sadly, no. If we were all 100% achievable, then we'd all be millionaires, wouldn't we? Or we'd all be totally successful in our jobs. There are always going to be, if you can get 85% of your job done, then you're doing really, really well. I think I've achieved 85% of what we want to achieve, and I think that's a fair assessment. We haven't got a very good senior squad this year at the moment, men's. We've got a really good senior women's squad, but we haven't got a really good senior men's squad. So it's not 100% achievable, but maybe in 2 years' time we will have. So we've got to work out why we went wrong and put it right. So there's a definite movement on there. Face the issues, discuss openly and create solutions. Don't be negative, say, oh, we can't do that. Just say, well, okay, what can we do to put it right? Be very, very proactive. And don't let anybody talk you down. Fight them verbally, not physically. Just give them the reasons why you want to be better. Get them on your side. Make sure everybody's being communicated with. Make sure everybody knows what you're doing. Don't hide anything. Make sure everybody knows, everybody. Parents, children, senior men, senior women, make sure everybody knows what's going on so that they can be part of, when you need to pull some strings and get them to do things, then it's not a surprise for them. Listen to people and then react accordingly. Sometimes you have to react quite strongly, as I mentioned earlier about welfare issues. That's important. React positively. Then people will know you mean business and they won't mess you around either. So what we've got now as a club, where are we now? We have over 300 plus members. All of them actively rowing. Well, probably not. We've got some social rowers as well. But we're oversubscribed with junior rowers. We've now got over 100 plus junior rowers rowing at the club, plus more wanting to get in. As I said to you earlier, it helps our competitors, Grosvenor, and other rowing clubs in the area, because that means that people are stimulated to row, but they've gone to where they can get in, where they're perhaps. But all the other local clubs are getting busy as well. So everybody's in the same position now. Rowing is catching on. It's becoming more of an available sport, and not the elite sport where it was just for the designated few. This is now an open sport for everybody, and that's what we're stimulating, an open sport. Our aim was to create 12 hours of rowing a day. So how do we do this? Schools, corporate events, visiting clubs, ladies who row and lunch, And that's probably a bit feminine. Sorry about that. I shouldn't probably. We have retired
It's a
people.
brilliant idea.
Sorry?
It's a brilliant idea.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, we have men who want to row, and I've got quite some of the guys I used to row with who are a bit older than me. They come down at 11 o'clock and they're off the water by 12, ready for the pubs to be open. Absolutely. That's sort of really good objective to have. Daytime rowing, it is part of my particular role, is what I wanted to achieve, daytime rowing. I am succeeding in that. We haven't got the whole 7 days a week yet. Doesn't matter. We're on the pathway. Now we've stimulated some schools, we will get more, because they will see what's happening and they'll actually see the press, get it into the press, and they'll see what's happening in the press. Now, by achieving all this, you've also got to think about, and you've got to think about it, who's going to take over from you. Now, I knew I would have to step down sometime. I can't run for 4 years, or 5 years as it happens, and keep running. Not in a volunteer role, which is what we've been doing, in a volunteer role. Nobody's paid. So you have to think about who's going to take over from you. And it's not easy because nobody wants to take over. You have to really twist one or two arms to get it to work. And you have to identify somebody who perhaps would want to take it on and just keep working on them for 2 years until they take on the position. But then you have to give them the assistance as well. You have to make sure they understand that it's enjoyable and challenging. But I've enjoyed my role as club captain. I would take it up again. Once I've got back into I've got over another couple of years, I'd go back into it again. But I'm there supporting as part of the committee anyway, and my role as the development club manager is going to be ongoing with the club. So you don't let go of let go, you're always there, but you have to think about who's going to take over. Have you got a strong team, a strong committee that's prepared to keep it going? Are you bringing in some of the senior men and women, the younger element, to be part of your committee? So it's not just the older guys, boys and girls that are there, and parents. How many parents can you get on your committee? Once you've got the committee up to sort of 15 to 20, you've got a strong working committee, and they're all talking to one another and all buzzing and making it happen. Once you've got that in place, you can think about stepping down. So now others have taken the lead away from me, which is great. I don't mind. You know, I've been through my life where I've been in a successful position and walked away and let other people carry on. So I can handle that psychologically sometimes, but never mind. Challenging members into more creative ideas, that's really what we want to do. So much so that Royals has never had a women's captain. Never. In all of its history. This year we have our first ladies captain, the club captain. I think that's a fantastic achievement. It just shows you how the club has changed in the last 5 years alone. That we've got now a totally interactive gender of people rowing at the club. And that's just the way we want to keep it going.
How many of the old gentlemen bar hangers resigned?
We didn't have one resignation, not one, because they knew it was coming. And that's by the communication channels. But we told them there were advantages. They could take the ladies captain out for lunch now and then. So there was always going to be, but they'd have to buy her the wine, so that's not a problem. So before I finish, I'd just like to leave you all with a kiss, if I may. And that is, keep it simple but safe, all right? Just keep it simple and safe. The simpler it is, the more efficient you will be. You complicate it, and then you're really fighting a battle. So now other people, oh sorry, I've gone the wrong way again. So, and that is really all I've got to say to you, except that our sports centre, our new development is now a reality. Royals is a reality in the workplace and in the rowing fraternity. If anybody wants to ask any questions, please do so. My email address, and I can send you the notes if necessary about the whole my whole delivery. Only too pleased to speak to anybody afterwards or answer any questions. Does anybody have any questions? I hope I've covered it all. I hope you've enjoyed yours.
I was just going to raise something you and I were having a conversation before this talk, because we're going through this at Castle Central Rowing Club, and one of the biggest problems we have, we're dealing with other clubs, is it's original club members holding on to what they've come from and not wanting to move forward. It's the most difficult thing to move forward.
It is.
And I think you probably encountered that as well, and it's just, I gather what you're going to say to me is communication.
It's communication and selling it to them. It's the marketing strategy you've got to create around it. We sold it to them on the basis of, look at what you've got. I mean, if you saw our, if anybody's been to Chester and seen our changing rooms, you'd be cringing in your, you probably wouldn't even want to walk into the door.
30 years ago I used them.
Yeah, well, they haven't changed. Let me tell you that now. The only thing that has changed is 2 years ago we built a whole new section, shower room, etc., for the girls and the women's changing room. They've got the best facilities in the whole clubhouse. They've got marble floor, they've got electric showers, they've got everything. Hair dryers, they've got hair dryers, they've got big mirrors, they've got seating, they've got everything. And the men have still got what they had. When you went in there 30 years ago, nothing's changed there, except a new boiler, that's the only thing.
When you were talking about your new facility relative to where the existing one is, which I know, is it further down onto the rowing course, onto the race course?
No, it's exactly diagonally opposite.
Straight opposite?
Straight opposite.
On the floodplain?
It is on the floodplain, but not on the lower part of the floodplain. If you mentioned you were an engineer earlier, I heard you saying that. But if you're in the building business, and what we do, it's about piling through and lift it up. We'll probably it needs to be lifted up probably about probably at the ground level now. It needs about 2 foot off the ground, piled and then beamed, so the water flows underneath. And then what we do then, all the ground floors for storage of boats anyway. So and then you lift everything up onto the first floor. So
I wish you well, but as long as it doesn't what happened at Durham Rowing Club,
yeah,
where they built a new facility above the 100-year flood line, and the following winter they had 2 foot of water running through the changing rooms.
Well, the changing rooms are all going to be upstairs, and because it'll be 8 foot above,
right?
The 8 foot above.
They were on a single level.
Yeah, well, we're
out.
Yeah, yes, that wasn't very good, but we're future planning and future proofing. Future proofing is very important.
I wanted to ask about the paid coach.
Yes.
Number one, do you raise additional subs to pay for the coach, or does that come out of just your?
No, we went out of our way to cover the cost of that coach through a separate source, by going to a sponsorship route to get the coach paid for.
Okay.
Part of the subs did go towards it because we ended up paying £12,000 a year.
And how does that impact having a paid coach working alongside your volunteers?
Okay, it
I
was
found that
not an
difficult
easy
task.
situation to be in, but the advantages are that people, and this is where you have to sell the advantage, is that the guys were getting Saturday and Sunday all day rowing coaching, plus schedule set for the evenings training as well. So they're getting those facilities which they weren't really getting before, and it's difficult to do it before. You may have a coach who facilitates, but the paid coach we now runs the senior men and senior women's crews. So we've got about 30 senior men and women who now have the advantage of a paid coach with a particular objective to work towards. I know we all have objectives to work towards. You have the head of the river, and you have Henley, which are probably the two priorities you're working towards if you're going to be a competitive rower and want to make a name and get that medal. But you can't all get there, so we have to keep working towards it. And the paid coach we felt was the only way we could do it. What we are doing, we make sure that we look after our other coaches. We are planning, and this is again part of our ongoing growth, is that we're looking at ways of subsidising some of our coaches who do find it difficult to keep coming, because we need to keep them involved. Because we've got a lot of people to coach, juniors especially, and we've got to have the right people there to coach. So
I was going to say, because with your summer school, did that only start happening when you got the paid coach?
no,
So
no,
it's
it's
your
all volunteers. That's
yeah.
all volunteers, and the juniors help as well. So that's very much a combined effort that we
And
get.
is that mostly learn to row, or is that also counts for your existing rowers for them to get extra water time?
All the mornings learn to row only, and then in the afternoon, any of the children or juniors that want to row, we do sessions for them in the afternoon as a separate entity, as part of their extra rowing during the summer. Some of them would be there 7 days a week if you let them, which is great. It's what you want, but We have to
and
be
the
careful.
adults to be there with them.
Yeah, well, that's the other issue, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.